There we go. Okay. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Ink, the talk show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and professionals in the publishing industry. We're back again this week with another author to introduce you to. My name is Katie Solitis, and as always, Jason Lavelle, our wonderful co-host, is here. Hey, Jason.
Hello, YouTube. I've missed you. I'm back again for another episode.
I didn't realize.
That's all I got. And I spent most of the day working on that, actually, Katie. So, yeah, that's what I got.
I love it. I love it. You got to have a microphone, though. You got to really own it.
Oh, yeah. Man, I need a mic. That's a good excuse.
See, there you go. Now, Jason, is it next week that you're going to the Comic-Con?
Yes, it's the 12th. What's the date today? Today is the 6th. Comic-Con starts on the 12th, and it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, and I'm talking about Midwest, or Ace Comic-Con Midwest. It's in Chicago this year, right at Navy Pier. So it's going to be really cool. A lot of cool artists going to be there. Some neat celebrity guests, and I'll actually be doing an interview with the founder. Oh gosh, and I would murder his name if I tried to say it, but it's a Garib Seamus, I believe it is. So we're going to be doing a one-on-one interview with him that we'll be posting on the show, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're pretty geeked about it. My daughter's even going, and or two of my daughters are going. One's going to be my sound man, and the other is cosplaying as a weeping angel from Doctor Who. So we're pretty geeked. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That is awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to see the footage you get from that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast. I think that I'm gonna have to do just little segments that we can add in here and there, because I think that'll be fun.
Definitely, definitely. Well, let's get into our show for today. We got to stop for a second to do our sponsorship, Book Branders.
Yes. Spilling Ink is brought to you by Book Branders, your self-publishing concierge. Book Branders provides package and a la carte solutions to get your book to market. From book design to editing and marketing, their team of professionals can help you successfully get your book on the market without breaking the bank. You can contact Book Branders today at bookbranders.com. Super simple. And they are very nice. They're easy to work with. And they're even going to give you a 10-step guide to successful self-publishing.
And for those
Back to you, Katie.
The show, we actually had Book Branders on last week to give us a little more in-depth on how they do what they do and why you should look at Book Branders if you're new to self-publishing and you don't know what the steps are that you need to take. So definitely take a look at last week's video and contact bookbranders.com. So let's get into today's show. We've got an excellent guest to introduce you to, author Patty Duffey, and she talks about dreams. Go ahead, take it over.
Hi, how is everybody?
Good.
I'm great, Patty. I can't wait for you to dissect my brain.
You know, that could be scary, Jason. The minute you tell me one of your typical dreams, you might be sorry you ever asked me.
You know, I really don't remember my dreams beyond 5 minutes after I wake up. But I'll tell you who has some terrifying dreams, and that's my wife. But we'll get into her later. But so tell us about what you've written. You've released 2 books now, right?
I have. In fact, the second book is out today. It's a novel, but it really takes some of my true dream journals. So the story sort of wrote itself, taking the real dream journals that I have been keeping for years. And so I turned it into a fictional account to follow up the first book I did that was all about nonfiction and really a practical guide to using your dreams in your everyday life.
Okay. So now the first book, as I understand it, it's not necessarily a dream dictionary. Is that right?
That's right. In fact, I've used dream dictionaries for years, and there are some very good ones out there. So the symbols in dreams are pretty much standard. You know, there's a snake, or you're flying over a building, or you can't speak, or things like that. They all tend to have similar meanings. But my application, when I started looking at my dreams, is I discovered I was almost creating a custom dictionary. There would be so many metaphors out there that would come into a dream, and I'd know exactly what they mean. And so after a while, I just started creating my own thing. And so, for example, a real classic is a snake in a dream. So a snake can have 2 different meanings. It could be either a snake in the grass, metaphorically, or it could be a sign of healing. Because if you look at a lot of medical places, they'll have what they call the rod of Asclepius. It looks like a snake around a cross. And so a snake can be healing too. But for me, my custom dictionary says, no, if a snake shows up in my dream and it has to do with some kind of a person I'm thinking about or a job perhaps, it's a bad thing. And so whoever comes across as the snake in the dream, you don't want to mess with.
Interesting.
There's got to be different ways to interpret dreams, though. I mean, symbolism can be interpreted so many different ways, but should you use like a snake, for example? If you see a snake in your dream, should you go based on what you saw or how you felt about the snake in your dream?
I would say definitely how you felt. And I keep track of those. So I've been writing my journals for 30 plus years. And so I've been writing them down. And what was really interesting is people kept telling me, you've got to write a book about these because it's so interesting. And I would tell somebody a dream, they'd tell me theirs and so on. So after going back to my dream journals after, let's say 10, 20 years or so, then you saw the pattern. So then your dictionary became really clear. And that's when I realized, you know, that snake has been after me since I was probably 6 years old. But there are other metaphors that come into play too, you know, and things that you hear in everyday life. In fact, I just had a dream the other day about somebody that was ice skating. And they were skating on ice where the water was coming through, so it wasn't really thick ice. Well, what's that a metaphor? It's for he was skating on thin ice, meaning he's in deep trouble. He's probably taking a risk that's too big. In this case, it was about a friend of mine. And so my advice to that friend would be just be a little bit careful. You're skating on thin ice here, dreamt about it. So don't go headlong into what it was you were going to try to do, because this is pretty vivid. And when I dream things like that, you know, after this many years of doing it, I like to tell people, you know, I saw something in this dream. Just take a little bit of time and think about it.
Well, now, and when you, okay, that brings up something, a point that I'd like to talk to you about. And we'll see if you can follow, because I don't even know if this makes sense in my own head, like most things. So you have a dream like this, and you're doing a dream journal, and you're interpreting it afterwards. Do you think that our dreams that we have and the interpretations of them, are they a direct result of how we're seeing the world, or how we feel about a situation, even if we don't know it? Or do you think that there is maybe some kind of higher force that's adding something into these dreams that we need to know?
I'd say all of the above.
Yeah.
I think you process things on a day-to-day basis. And the way I portray it in my first book is really it's verifying your intuition. You know, you get a gut feel about certain things, but I tend to be a bit of an analytical person. So that gut feel, and I tell people, always trust your gut. But you always want to analyze and go, oh, no, that's just my imagination. That guy really isn't that bad. She didn't betray me on a confidence, things like that. But that gut keeps nagging at you. And so when I dream about it, it's almost like verification of my gut feel.
Well, and I'll tell you what. I'm gonna give you a story here, and this is an absolutely true story. And I'm not going to name names because it would be kind of awkward. Our daughter, this was probably 2 years ago, I think 2 years ago now, went to stay at a friend's house overnight, and dropped her off over there. It was all good, came back home, and my wife woke up in the middle of the night having a panic attack. She had had a dream that the male in the house that our daughter was staying at was a bad guy. He was a criminal, that he was going to do something bad. So she woke up having this panic attack, and she gets on to look at the Michigan sex offender registry here, and ends up finding this guy and his address, which is where our daughter was staying the night with her friend. So of course she wakes me up and says, we're leaving right now, and she tells me the story on the way, and we go and snag her, and all sorts of drama ensued after that. But that was one of those things where, like, I can't explain that. Like,
Well,
I have no explanation for that.
that was the other part of your question. Do I believe there's a higher force? Absolutely, I do. You know, whether you call it God or whatever your higher force is, for me, it's God. He talks to people in places where they listen. And it just so happens that I listen to my dreams. So if he's trying to get through to me, you know, he's going to use a dream to do it. And with your wife having a dream like that, I would very definitely get up and do something about it. It's that vivid and it's that important, obviously.
Yeah.
That I would get up and do something about it.
It was frightening. It was frightening. And her dreams are always pretty whacked out. And in fact, a lot of times she'll tell me dreams, and I'll use little bits of her dreams in the books that I write, because they're so wild and crazy. But yeah, that one really took the cake, and it hit home. But
in my first book, DreamWalker, I wrote about some premonition type dreams. And there was a couple of dreams that I had that I really wish I would have listened to. One of them happened to be a childhood friend, dreamt about her, and it was kind of a disturbing dream. And I wish I would have picked up the phone and called her, because come to find out, a few months later, she was dealing with cancer and she passed away before I could even call her. And to this day, I mean, I feel so bad that I didn't do something with that dream. When it was right there. Somebody was sending me a signal like, call her up and see what's going on with her.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in DreamWalker, your first book, which is available on Amazon. Now, how is the book set up? Is it, because you said it's not a dream dictionary, but is it more of a this is my version of how you interpret your dreams, or can you walk me through kind of what it's about?
I would call it a practical guide, and I've got chapters that talk about various things. So for example, one chapter is about colors, and colors are very vivid in dreams. And I encourage people, when they do write down their dreams, to be very specific. You know, the guy was in a yellow car, or it was a red wall or a blue door or whatever, because those things are so telling. Yellow, for example, in the world, what does yellow mean out there?
Slow down.
Caution, yield, caution, yellow flag at NASCAR, those sorts of things. And so it means if something's painted in yellow, you know, be a little wary. And so I have a chapter that's all about that. And then I give examples of dreams that I've had and a very practical way to apply that. And there's another chapter about premonitions, which I just talked about a little earlier. Another dream tells you, you know, there's a lot of people in the world who have invented things and created some really magnificent things because of dreams. If you look at Einstein, legend has it that his theory of relativity, he thought of in a dream, E = mc². There are many Bible figures who dreamt things. And so that's a long, long time ago that people were talking about dreams. Abraham Lincoln dreamt about his own death. Paul McCartney dreamt lyrics to the song Yesterday. So, you know, I've got a chapter that's all about that. Another chapter is themes. Now, themes to me this is a big deal, and it really took having journaled for 10, 15, 20 years to go back and see what these themes meant to me. So let's say you have a hobby. Maybe you're a fisher person. You like to fish. And so you do this on a regular basis, enough so that it is really ingrained in you that you need a pole, you need water, you need waders, whatever it is that you need for fishing. And you start dreaming about it. And let's say you dream that you went into the river to fish and you didn't have boots on. To me, that's a metaphor for, you know, the water is coming up on you and you weren't protected. Let's say you didn't have a fishing pole. Well, you need a tool to catch the fish. And so if you dreamt that you were out there without a fishing pole, I'd say something in your life is telling you that you don't have the right tool handy to get the job done. For me, I just happen to be a musician, and I play every week, so it is ingrained in me. And so this chapter about themes, I share being a musician. What do you need? You need your instrument. You need a music stand and music. You need a conductor. And I'll have a recurring theme where I'll go into a concert situation and I'll sit down and I'll look up at the conductor and I'll realize I don't have my instrument with me. Well, that's the basic tool to get something done. So whatever's going on in my life then, I say, maybe I'm missing something here. I don't have the tools to get this done, whatever it is I'm trying to do. Or you look up and you don't see the conductor. Well, maybe I'm missing some instructions. I need some guidance or direction to get that job done or do whatever it is that I'm trying to do. Or the music stand, the music's missing. Well, I just need directions. I need instructions on how to get that thing done. So that's a classic example for me about a theme. And I would bet you've got something in your life too that you do on a regular basis, hobby, avocation, whatever it is, that would probably show up in dreams if you're paying attention to it.
Now, I have an important question here. You said you're a musician, and are you in an orchestra of some type, or?
I play in a community band.
Okay. Now, you mentioned a conductor, and all my kids are in band. My wife was in band forever. I was never in band. Do you actually look at that conductor, or do you just have everything memorized and you're going to play it the way you practiced a million times?
Yeah, you need to look at them. To form that ensemble so that everybody's on the same page, so to speak, you have to be watching them. They guide the tempo. And, you know, many bands will really get admonished by the conductor if you aren't looking up at them, because you don't know when to stop together, when to start together. And so because this is every week, I'm hearing the conductor telling us this stuff, it comes through in my dreams all the time.
Okay. Okay. And Katie, I just wanted to take a moment and say that you look super great tonight. You look beautiful. Your hair, that nice bright red shirt, you just look great tonight.
So random, but thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I'm just sitting in the background just nodding at everything because I'm finding this so fascinating. Although I do want to kind of stop for a second and ask about the color thing, because interpretation is huge between the way people see things. And you guys both said yellow and immediately went to caution and just be more aware. And when you said yellow to me, my initial thought was bright, sunny, cheerful. And it was kind of an opposite of the way you guys were looking at it. So there's a definite difference in interpretation.
Well,
that's how that custom dictionary comes about. So you're formulating your own custom dictionary as we speak.
And there are actually some kind of hard and fast rules too when it comes to dream interpretation. And it actually says that yellow means caution. And for those of you who see it as a good thing, it actually means you're a psychopath, at least according to what I've read.
Well, you know, author, psychopath, it's kind of the same thing.
Now, you've
telling you guys about right before we went on the show that yellow was the overwhelming color of the room that I was in. And so I was kind of like, I stuck on yellow, but even though I had woken up from that dream kind of surprised by it, there was no fear. And the dream should have been something that caused me a fear response. But instead I woke up going, oh my God, that was cool. I need to write this down.
Well, tell us about the dream again. Nobody got to hear that.
Okay. All right. So I'm in my house. I'm being chased by somebody. I don't ever see the face of the person who's chasing me.
Winnie the Pooh.
I run towards my laundry room. In the laundry room, everything looks as it should, except for the back panel where they have all of the water connectors. Those are now gas connections, and they're all open. And even though I can't hear the hissing, I know they're hissing. It's just a knowledge that I have when I look over. And I look towards the door, and I see the light, the match strike, and I wake up as it's dropped.
So,
oh my gosh,
Patty.
But I did not wake up like screaming in terror. I woke up like, oh my God, that's kind of cool. That was a really vivid dream. I didn't wake up with a fear response.
Well, and that's because I think as authors, we embrace the crazy. we're used to it. We embrace it. But Patty, so if you have that dream, the dream that Katie just described, let's break it down. How would you break that down and interpret it based on what information you have?
The first thing I would ask Katie is, how did you feel after the dream? And she just told us she wasn't completely alarmed. She kind of thought, wow, this is really something. I mean, it made an impact on her. So that's step number one. Step number two, I would say, were there any people in the dream? Or was this all just mechanical?
Well, I was being chased by someone. There was the feeling that there was some kind of bad person chasing me, but I didn't see faces. I didn't see a body. I couldn't tell you if it was a man or a woman. It was just that feeling. And again, when I saw the light strike, you know, the match strike, that was it. I didn't see a face or a body behind it. It was just the match. And then as it was dropped, I woke up.
So then what I would say is think about what's going on in your life right now. Is there something in your subconscious that's bothering you about a person? And it might not be, you know, as dangerous as, you know, turning the gas on, but is somebody after you, you know, a jealousy kind of thing or something like that, or sabotaging some work you do, or, you know, those types of things. So it doesn't really have to get to the degree of a gas explosion, but in your subconscious trying to get to you to wake you up said, you know, maybe I have to use something a little bit more extreme here to get Katie's attention, that she needs to be paying attention to this.
Well, then if we're following that line of thought, then me running towards the room that is ultimately going to blow up, is that me on a path towards destruction if I was just to take that symbolism?
I would, you know, just off the top of my head, I would say there might be a little naivety there. You might not be quite aware of somebody who's trying to do some harm.
You are so screwed, Katie. Oh, man. It's all over.
So Jason, you've been outed now, right?
Yeah. I'm too far away to do any harm. Well, that's what I want you to think.
Oh, no.
I like the laundry room setting, though, too. So in your life, is laundry a big thing or is it a little thing?
You know, it's not.
Laundry's a problem, isn't it?
It is. It's always a problem. You know, laundry is actually, I shouldn't even say, but laundry is sometimes a catalyst to arguments in the family. So perhaps there is something to do with that.
So there's kind of a tinderbox in that room of the house anyway. Huh?
You got it.
Yeah, maybe. That's hilarious.
I love it. Isn't that fun? You know, yeah. People who don't write their dreams down, I think they're just missing out on so much rich information that can really help you, like I say, verify your gut feel, or, you know, make you aware of something that you might just be blinded to in life. Now, you know, I worked in the corporate arena for umpteen years. You know, there's a lot of politics that go on in corporate arenas. And so, you know, you might trust somebody. You might go into a meeting and say, you know what, I think I can share a confidence with this person, which happened to me. And sure enough, I had a dream about that, a snake in the grass kind of person. And I thought, you know what, I should have never told that guy that confidence, because it's going to come back to haunt me. And sure enough, it didn't happen right away. But months later, I found out that he betrayed me, told that confidence to somebody else, which really damaged the relationship with that other person. And so if you write those things down, though, and then something happens later, many times I'll go back to my journals and say, you know, I dreamt something about this. I'm having this deja vu feeling that that guy couldn't be trusted, or it could be something positive too, or that I should really go down that path. I got to go back and look at my journals and see what's what.
Now, here's a question for you, because a lot of times we don't remember our dreams unless they are, you know, those shocking, very vivid dreams that wake us in the dead of night. So how do people who on an everyday basis don't remember their dreams, how do they become more aware of their dreams so that they can write these down?
I give a couple of tips in my DreamWalker book. But I think first and foremost is to just start making a habit of it. And if you sleep with a sleep partner, you want to make sure that they understand you're trying to journal these things, and don't disturb me until after I've written them down. Because if you wake up suddenly, or somebody makes a noise, or they talk to you, all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. So my other half knows that I pull the little notebook out of my nightstand, and I have a small little flashlight that I turn on, and I very quietly write it down. He doesn't make a peep. He just goes off and does his thing until I'm done with it. And then what happens then is I might tell him about it. So now I've written it. I've told somebody about it. And so then it sticks with me more, and then we can analyze it together. The other thing is, when you're writing like that, be as detailed as possible, because some of these things may come back later and you go, oh my gosh, I dreamt about that. Like the yellow, the teal. Teal is another color that has a lot of meaning. It means loyalty, trustworthiness, friendliness. It's a really good feel in my dreams. And so I might look at two different things in a dream. I'm going into one car, for example, and it's a teal car versus a black car. Which car should I get into? Well, I'm going to go to the teal car all the time, because I know that that's a positive thing. If I get into the black car by mistake in my dream, go, oh boy, I probably made a mistake, made a bad decision on whatever it was that referred to. You know, so there's a lot of pieces in this analysis that have to come together, but it's fun doing it.
Now let's talk about probably the most important thing anybody dreams about: sex. So, what do sex dreams mean anything? And then, to follow up on that, why do people sometimes dream about sexual situations with people other than their partner? Especially if they're totally committed to their partner, why might that happen?
Check out my Facebook page, the DreamWalker Facebook page, because I just posted an article about this. I didn't write the article, somebody else did, but it was fascinating. Sex is not very literal. Generally what it means is there's a connection of some sort with that person. So let's say you're having sex with a teacher in your dream. Doesn't necessarily mean you have a crush on that teacher or fallen in love or something else, but it means that you've really connected well with that teacher. And so that might be a relationship that will benefit you as far as learning something new or helping you with your writing, for example. Here's another example. In a lot of my dreams, I would dream about a pastor. Well, obviously, if your pastor's in your dream, it doesn't mean you have some kind of a strange relationship with your pastor, but my dictionaries came to mean that if there was a pastor in there, that was my higher power talking to me. So the pastor was just sort of the human form of it, and whatever the pastor was telling me in the dream, I knew was some kind of a message I was getting to change my ways or reinforce my ways or be aware of somebody who was in need.
So I might not necessarily have a crush on Chris Pratt. I might just be connected to him, like we're supposed to be friends.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And it's real disconcerting, you know, when you have sex with somebody who's, you know, just an acquaintance, you know, somebody that you've seen in a meeting, or then you go, whoa, what was that all about?
Like, well, whoa, Bob, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Yeah, what are you doing in my bedroom at night, for crying out loud? But it might just mean maybe you should approach that person, get to know them. There might be some kind of synergy that you could help each other out with something, or there's a reason why you had that connection type dream.
There you go. See, next time you go to Comic-Con and Chris Pratt is there, you guys have to make a connection.
Yes. I'm going to tell him about that dream.
Absolutely.
Well, it seems like there's a prophetic nature to these dreams that you're very vividly remembering. So, you know, that's something out there telling you, you need to make this connection. He's going to be your next BFF.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So it's not always bad stuff. It's not always, you know, danger warning. It could be, hey, here's something to think about.
Now, what about the types of dreams where it's very frightening when you have, the sleep paralysis, where consciously you know you're dreaming, but you're partially awake and you're still deeply entrenched in the dream, but you can't move to break yourself out of it. And usually they're fear dreams that are happening during this time.
I think that probably falls in the category of lucid dreaming. And there are many people who claim they can do that. They can almost control the path that their dream is going to take. Mine doesn't necessarily do that. And I think it's a pretty small percentage of people out there, according to the dream experts out there who write about it. But yeah, it is documented that people have been able to do that. Now, wouldn't that be cool? If you see this horrible thing like the gas explosion in your dream, and then
amazing.
girl comes in, saved you, and all of a sudden there's this new person in your life. Oh, thank goodness you saved me.
A lot of times that'll happen to me is the sleep paralysis. And usually when that dream happens, I'm awake enough to know that I'm dreaming. I can't control anything. And I'm constantly telling myself to wiggle a toe or something to help me fully wake up. Because once I can move, I can break out of the dream. But as long as I'm still frozen, whatever's happening around me continues to happen against my will.
So think about the words you just used. I'm frozen. Maybe you're paralyzed by something in your life, you know, sort of metaphorically speaking.
I'm watching you. Yeah.
I know. I have crazy dreams. I do.
Patty, those are wise words right there.
Maybe it's just a decision. You know, you've been kind of lollygagging. You just cannot make that decision, and people are hounding you, and you know you're hemming and hawing. Maybe that dream is saying you're paralyzed by either analysis or indecision or something, like, you know.
Yeah, you gotta stop. Katie's head is gonna explode.
Well, and I'm very analytical. Is as much of a fantasy writer as I am, I'm very reality based, and I dissect everything to the nth degree. So yeah, that would make sense.
Be very similar, because that's why I started looking at this anyway as sort of verification of intuition. You know, always trust your gut, but a little part of me just said, let's get some evidence, you know, to try to make sure that your gut is telling you the truth. And with me, the dreams were the evidence.
Now, could you tell us a little bit about, I know you told us how it came about, but tell us a little bit about, is it Dreams and Schemes?
Yeah, Dreams and Schemes.
Tell us about the story. What kind of story is this?
It's a novel, and it's about a character who, like me, pays attention to her dreams. And I actually use real excerpts from my dream journals. You know, I've got reams and reams of these, reams and reams of dreams. And I said, what can I do with some of these dreams aside from just writing another DreamWalker book? And I had some really fascinating ones. I mean, just strange. In fact, I'm just going to tell you one that you're going to think I'm really weird. But I dreamt about pulling up a rug in a house, and this creature came out that I called a festering boil. And it looked like a Humpty Dumpty, just sinister. And it was oozing, you know, pus and everything. It was just really gross. And I woke up the next morning and wrote it down. And then when I went back to look at it, I had drawn a picture of this Humpty Dumpty looking creature, which was really kind of strange. So I thought, what can I do with a dream like that? You know what? That would be interesting to put that in the novel. So I did. I took a bunch of those dreams like that. I picked out the most interesting to me anyway. And I said, now I'm going to write a novel around that. And so the lead character, her name happens to be Penny. And Penny uses her dreams for everyday life kind of things. You know, she's a person that works in Las Vegas. It's Las Vegas based. And so she uses them in sort of a mundane way, I guess you could say. But then she also uses them when her best friend comes up with some missing collectibles, valuable things that her late husband gave her. And so now Penny is going to use her dreams to help figure out who are the suspects who might have taken those missing collectibles.
That's really cool.
I muted, but I was saying interesting.
Well, I like using the prophetic nature of the dreams to help figure things out. And I'm guessing that we'll be going down the rabbit hole of crazy dreams during that story.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of great symbolism and whatnot.
And you'll see some real uplifting dreams, too. You know, she's got a business, obviously, and so you want to be successful in the business. So you'll see some dreams in there that show what's going to lead her to success. And so that's always fun to be able to share something that, woohoo, yeah, you know, I'm going to get a big award or something like that that shows up in the dream.
Now, there's always, with the dreaming thing, again, back to the controlling your own dreams things, there's the law of attraction where you can kind of put out meditations or thoughts of what you want. And sometimes that can go into your dreams as well and create things, manifest things. Have you ever seen that happen?
Yeah, I hear that a lot from people. And particularly, it happens to be people who have some kind of a strong faith. You know, so maybe they go to bed, they say prayers, and in their prayers they're saying, please send me an answer to whatever issue they're dealing with, and they might dream about it then. So it, you know, it can be really comforting too if you just lay the thought out there, say, I really need an answer to this. And you might not get a straight answer, you know, do this or do that, but you might get one of these goofy metaphors. And you have to do a little work to figure it out. But if you really pay attention to it and then go back and look, that's the other thing that's really helpful, not just the day after. You know, you have the dream. I always write down, here's what I think it means right now. Then I'll go back maybe a week later if something feels familiar, or maybe months later and say, you know what, I remember having a dream, it feels familiar, and I'll go back and find it and I'll go, yes, of course, that's what it meant.
That's, you know, that kind of ties into the writing process too. They say when you write a first draft, you should always let it kind of marinate for a little bit before you return back to it and reread it, because oftentimes when you go back to it, what you intended it to say or how you intended it to sound may not come through as clearly. And that time space between them makes it so that you can really see it. Whereas if you read it, let's say the next day, you're still in that mindset of this is what I meant to say, this is what it does say.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. Yeah, and marinate, I like that word. That's exactly what it does. Is it kind of simmers for a while, and then you go back, and all of a sudden it's the aha moment. You go, ah, now I know what that was all about.
Well, and I kind of do that with books in general, especially when I'm first starting them, is I'll get an idea in my head that's just this really vague concept somewhere far off, just out of reach, and I'll just let it marinate. And, you know, it might take a couple days or a couple weeks, but eventually I'll start to see a scene. And I'm like, okay, as soon as I've got a scene, I'm gonna write that baby down, and that's how I kind of get to know my characters and the voice of the story, is by writing that first scene, and then I can go and start actually doing the work of it. Until you get stuck.
I bet if you laid that out there at night and said, here's the scene, you know, give me some images that might help me, and you start paying attention, it might just come to you.
I'm gonna do that. I've got one that I'm kind of stuck on where I want to go right now. I mean, I could go anywhere, and so I'm like, I don't have a direction. It's driving me nuts. So I'm gonna do that tonight. I'm gonna ask the dream gods for some direction and see if I get any fun stuff in my dreams.
Absolutely.
I like that, the dream gods. Although it does seem like, you know, in what we're saying here, that when you're asleep, your mind is open to other forces, not just your subconscious. So you might be picking up stuff from somewhere else as well.
Yeah, you're so right, Katie, because in your waking life, we've got all these issues, this baggage we carry. You know, we put our hands up when we don't want to hear something, but at night, those messages are going to come through. We aren't able to just stop and say, you know, I don't even want to know what's going on there. You're going to hear it whether you like it or not.
Well, and what if we are not just receivers when we're sleeping, but what if we're transceivers? What if we are actually transmitting as well? What if we're taking signals from other people or places, but also sending out some signals of our own? And that's why dreams get so utterly effed up in some people's head and just completely bizarre, because you're receiving signals from different people. That'd be kind of
cool. You can kind of entertain your friends.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could control it, they'd be the best. Like, oh, Chris Pratt, you're thinking about me tonight.
Oh, no.
I think that's going to have to be a story, Katie.
Between you and your wife, you could send her a dream and see if she has it.
Oh, that'd be fun. I'm gonna not tonight, because tonight I've got to work on my own story. Tomorrow night I'll work on that.
Well, see, so then you can wake up with a dream and tell it to you.
Well, and that reminds me of something, to really be able to start analyzing your dreams like this. One of the other tips I suggest is getting a dream buddy. And I had a very good friend that I worked with for years, and we would come in the morning and say, okay, what did you dream about last night? And we would compare, and then we would analyze each other's dreams. And that was really helpful too. So, but you need somebody who's open-minded enough, who's into this dream sort of thing, to talk about those sorts of things. I know a lot of people who their other half just thinks it's wacko, you know. So generally the person sleeping next to you might not be the perfect buddy for you. But find somebody out there that you can have that conversation with. And I find it really valuable. And since I wrote the book, I've got all these people coming to me saying, oh my gosh, I dreamt about this last night. What do you think of that? And generally, they don't see the metaphor in it, and they'll say things, and I'll say, oh my gosh, it's clear as a bell to me. You know, it's this, that, and the other thing.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, I told you a couple of my dreams just now, and you've given me stuff that makes a lot of sense.
And that's
from an outside
perspective. Now you have to take that and say, okay, what's going on in my life? Things that you would obviously know about your life that I wouldn't know. But
I'll be your dream buddy.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Every morning, I'm gonna write you my dreams.
Oh no.
now, Katie, you live in Vegas too, so this was a really fun dream that I had one day, and in fact, I included it in the Dreams and Schemes book. I was walking down the Strip, and you know the crowds of people and everything, and the neon lights and whatnot, and I look across the Las Vegas Boulevard, and I see this giant ship sitting there, and we walk across one of the bridges. We go into the ship. There is nobody there. And the person that's walking with me, happens to be a friend of mine, says to me, hey, it looks like your ship came in. And when I woke up, I went, oh, yay, something really good is going to happen. My ship came in. So, and I'm not a big gambler or anything in Las Vegas, so it wasn't necessarily monetary, but the fact that my ship came in was a really good sign. And that could be a job. It could be, you know, a client. Could be a meeting somebody who was really great, but I was really excited to have that dream.
That's really cool. And it could be something as small as just something you were waiting for an answer on was going to be answered. Exactly. But that's good. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do when you're not writing about dreams? What do you do out there in the world?
Event planning, customer service, marketing. I spent most of my marketing career, in fact, writing a lot of trade articles, newsletters for various companies. I always had a little bit of humor in the newsletter. I was a big stickler on grammar, so I wrote columns on, they called me Conan the Grammarian, because you know, there's so many people who were executive level people, and they're making speeches and presentations, and they just, what they do with the English language just made the hair on my neck stand up. So I would take some of the things that I'd hear in corporate life, and I'd go, I have to write that in the next column. That guy keeps saying, he don't. And I said, I got to write about it. So it's been kind of a neuroses of mine for many, many years. Well, then when I left the corporate world, I went into a business of my own, and I still work on the Strip with events and conventions and whatnot. But I'm really enjoying having enough time now that I can do the writing and not have to do it at midnight every night.
Well, I think that's Katie too. Katie, you wait until super late to write, don't you?
Yeah, well, and that's more out of necessity than anything else. I still have one little one at home who doesn't go to school yet, so during the day I'm mom. You know, I'm taking care of the household stuff. I'm keeping the little one occupied. I do a little work during the day, but I don't have the peace of mind, the quiet time to actually hear my own thoughts until the house goes to sleep. So I end up doing most of my writing between about 8 o'clock and midnight or so every night.
Well, and the other thing is, if you've got some time that's your nice quiet time, and you have something like dreams already there, for me, it's beneficial. I just go to the journal and pull it out, and I've already got my raw material. So I don't have to invent it all. There it is. Let's write about it.
I'll have to put that out to the universe tonight. I've been stuck on a part of my story that's actually going to end up putting me over my editing deadline. So I need to get it finished. So maybe I can put that out to the universe tonight, meditate on it before bed to see if I can figure out where my characters are stalling and how I can get them past it.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be excellent to have a dream about it so that I've got, you know, that visual point of reference to go, oh yes, write this down. I can do this.
Absolutely. And again, be detailed, real detailed, because you might have a nugget of an idea that shows up And if you write it down in great detail, in fact, here's a really good example of the detail. I've read about people or dreamt about people before, and I will dream a name or I will dream a number. One of the stories that I put in my new novel would happen to be about a hotel room. I dreamt about the number 67. And so I took that through and created the story so that 67 had meaning at the end. You might not know right away what that 67 is, but somewhere down the road, something will come to you. Maybe you end up with a 67 Chev or something like that, and you go, oh, whoa, that is so cool. I dreamt about that.
I like
names
that.
too. I dreamt about a name, and I wrote it out very clearly. And so then I went and Googled that name later, and it was a dream. It was about war and battle and, you know, military kind of stuff. I Googled the name, and this person happened to work for a defense contractor. He came up on LinkedIn, and I went, oh, that's very strange. And I don't know this guy from Adam, but I dreamt his name. He happens to have a connection to something military. So I just keep that in my dictionary and my journal, thinking someday I'm going to bump into that guy, and I'm going to say, you know what, I dreamt about you about 20 years ago.
I wonder what they say about somebody that they don't see faces. They recognize the person in the dream maybe, but they won't see a face. They won't see the body. It's kind of like shadow people, but they know who it is. Because I know a lot of people, they'll have vivid dreams. For me, I never see the actual person, but I know who they are, and that fills in the gap in my mind, even though I don't have the visual of them.
You know what, I would say that's probably a good thing, because their appearance is not as important to you as what's in their heart and their minds. So you're really thinking about the inside of the person versus the outside. The outside is irrelevant to you.
Interesting. That's a good interpretation. It ties back to the dream that I had before, though, where I didn't see the villain with the match. I just knew they were there.
Mm-hmm. So you just start paying attention to people around you. You might figure out who that person is eventually.
Hmm. What a great
it might be a smoker if they've got a match. So think about that.
Well, see, I would think lighter would be a smoker. Match is like such a purposeful thing.
That's kind of a dramatic flair.
Yeah, that's like really, you know, going that extra mile to really screw somebody over.
Yeah.
You know, taking the easy road. They're gonna light a match and drop it. It's like,
yeah, they know they're bad. So now I hope I've got you thinking, because there really is so much rich information in dreams. I really have a ball with it. And you know, writing them down is just so key, so you can go back and really get some out of it. If nothing else, just for a good laugh. Because you might dream about somebody or something, and later on you realize, oh man, I was taking myself really too seriously. That dream just showed me I need to back off and not worry about that anymore.
I know Jason's going to be sending me Chris Pratt dreams for probably a good month now.
One of the recurring themes out there too, a metaphor, is has to do with baggage, suitcases and luggage and totes and all that. And for a period in my corporate career, I was dreaming a lot about that, where there would be a suitcase that somebody left there and you'd open up and there would be things in there, or somebody would have a purse that was the focus of the dream. And so what I came to realize is that all these totes and things meant baggage. I had some baggage that I needed to deal with. And I mean, what a clever way for it to come through in the dream, but sure enough, it was something having to do with work, and I just had to get rid of that baggage, and I was fine afterwards. And then I quit having those dreams.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool.
I'm definitely going to have to look into this a little more, because it is fascinating, and there's so many ways to interpret things and to kind of self-analyze that, you know, brings attention to stuff that you weren't really maybe noticing before.
Yeah, think about the cliches and metaphors that are out there, and maybe it's something that you use verbally a lot. You know, for example, an arm and a leg. You know, if you dreamt about an arm and a leg, it could refer to something that's really going to cost you an arm and a leg. And that's all just metaphorically speaking. Another one might be, you might dream about a coffin and somebody pounding the edge of the coffin. Well, that was the last nail in the coffin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so those things that look to be actual pictures in your dreams could really just be metaphors for some cliche in life, like the skating on thin ice I mentioned earlier. And it really helps you figure out that don't take it so literally. Look at that symbolism in there. It's key.
Yeah, that's a lot to think about, but I like it. I like it. Do you think that when you draw more attention to your dreams that you're more likely to, that they're more likely to materialize, so to speak, or have more meaning? Or do you think it's always the way it is and we just need to pay attention?
That's it. I think you just need to pay attention. And I can't explain, but looking back on things 10, 20 years later was so vivid for me to read through all my dream journals. The way I do it is, years ago, I learned how to take shorthand. And so I write my dream journals in shorthand because it's quick. I can get it out real fast, and then I write the meaning of it. And so when I was getting ready to write my first book, I had to go back and transcribe all those reams and reams of dreams. And I had boxes full of them. And so as I'm typing them out, and I said, oh man, yeah, I remember this dream that I had. Oh, I completely forgot about this one. And then the more I typed, I saw those patterns emerge. And like the baggage pattern, for example, I might not have noticed it in just one single dream, but when I saw it come again and again, I thought, holy cow, I got to get rid of this baggage. I give several examples like that in the DreamWalker book. And that was the beneficial thing for me, was to be able to go back after so many years or even months and just see what you might not see that very first day.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Well, Katie, what are you stuck on? You mentioned a few minutes ago that you were stuck on something.
Oh yeah, it's been hounding me for the last month that I'm coming to the end of my editing deadline. And with freelance editors, you often have to book a certain time with them. And if you miss that deadline, well, then you've got to wait for another window of opportunity. So I really don't want to miss it. And I'm probably 20,000 words shy of the end of the book that I'm on. And while typically that's not a big deal, I can usually write, you know, even 1,000 words a day, which is a low average for me. I can get that done. I just can't seem to get over the hump. I know where the characters are supposed to be. I know what the end result is, but it's those little chapters in the middle of how they get to do this that I don't like. And every time I write it, I'm like, I just don't like this. This doesn't sound right.
Well, you said it yourself earlier that your brain sort of lets things go at night. I would think that that would be a great opportunity for you to get some ideas, lay it out there, and let those dreams come to you, because you can't control things. Maybe because your everyday life, your kids, the baby, you know, all your demands are making you sort of shut down mentally. Mm-hmm. And opening it up to the dream gods, as Jason says, would be a great idea, that maybe some things will come to you as a result.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a try. I know a lot of times, especially when we're giving advice to people on writing, you know, the free writing is usually the advice we give, but along with that is usually during the day to kind of have an idea of the scene you want to write. And that's how you can get that 1,000 to 2,000 words a day without a problem, is you come to the table ready to write. Well, I haven't been coming to the table ready to write, so I haven't been getting the words down.
Oh, and there's a lot of things in our lives that, like Patty was just saying, that kind of work against us on that creative flow, you know, kids and stresses and jobs and errands and anything that's taking your mind out of the book is working against you. But yeah, you know, I don't know, maybe a nice, relaxed, stress-free night and glass of wine and go to sleep and dream about magical destruction and stuff and see what comes to you. I take it that's what you're stuck on, book 3, isn't it?
Yeah, it's book 3.
I see that you really did the cover reveal. It's beautiful.
Yes, my private reader group on Facebook has seen the cover. I haven't released it publicly yet.
Oh, you haven't?
No, only to the private group on Facebook.
Oh, is that the Paranormal Posse?
Yeah.
That must have been where I saw it. And,
Yeah, I've been doing a lot more with the private reader group lately, sharing excerpts that are raw, that I haven't had a chance to edit yet, and asking for their feedback, sharing, where I'm at in the process, what's going on, where the delays are. I've been a lot more vocal with them and connecting with them on that personal level so that I'm not just throwing up hey, new book's out, check it out. I'm giving them a whole view into the process of writing, of the writer's block, of looking at the covers, the reasons behind decisions that are made so that they can see that. Because I think they appreciate really seeing what goes into it and seeing the person behind the book.
That's so helpful to have a group like that. In the area where I live, we have this authors group strictly for the residents who happen to be writers. And we do the same thing. We'll read, work to each other, and gently critique each other's stuff. And then we'll have smaller groups that go off and do the heavy critiquing and editing and everything. But it really does help to just have somebody to bounce it off of. Read your 8 or 10 pages, and they come back and tell you, that character, I'm just confused. I don't know what's going on there. It's helpful.
Yeah, and a lot of times when I get stuck writing, I reach out to author friends and say, I just need a sounding board. Here's where I'm at. Here's what I think should happen. What do you think about this idea? And there's a few of them that I go to regularly, and they'll come back and tell me, no, that makes absolutely no sense. Or have you thought about looking at it this way? And back and forth, just, throwing these ideas at the wall, I find a way to get through that block. So that's been helpful too.
It's very much like the Dream Buddies. If you share one of your dreams with somebody and they see something you don't see, wow, there's the big aha moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, we're getting to the end of our hour here, and kind of at a good breaking point, I feel like. Patty, you've got your 2 books are on Amazon right now. It's DreamWalker was the first one, the nonfiction book. Oh, you've got a copy of it? Here, say something so it switches to you.
DreamWalker right there. And this is an old proof, so it's kind of messy, but this is Dreams and Schemes. This is the one that came out today on Amazon, and it'll be on my website too, dreamwalkerdreams.com, and my Facebook page, which is DreamWalker on Facebook. So I really enjoyed talking to you guys about this topic. I get all excited all over again when somebody's sharing their dream type stuff with me, and I hope you really take some time and decide to do a little bit of journaling and see what you can get out of it.
I think we definitely have to at this point, because this has been such a fascinating topic to discover.
Yeah, for sure.
We've
got so many different dreams we could probably throw at each other right now.
Yeah. Well, and my wife even wrote in a little while ago. Because I had told her we had you on the show, and she's like, I can't think of any right now. She's like, she always tells me, like, I had this great dream I wanted to tell you about, but I forgot it. Now I can't tell you about it. But yeah. No, I think it's really cool. It's fascinating. And my issue is usually I'll wake up after a dream in the morning. I'll get up and go to the bathroom and lay back down. And it's when I lay back down that I start thinking about the day, and then all the stuff that I have to do that day just comes rushing in. And by the time I'm done with that anxiety attack, I'm like, oh, okay, well, the dreams are gone. It's all over.
Keep that journal right next to you on your nightstand or whatever, and don't even get up and move, because poof, it'll be out of your mind so quickly. Write it down very quietly. Don't turn on any bright lights. Keep a nice dim light, little flashlight maybe or something. Write it all down. Be detailed, and you'll find it'll really benefit you.
I'm gonna give it a shot. I like it.
Yep, I definitely need to do that. Crazy as they are. Definitely.
I hope I bump into you, Katie, in the local market. Maybe we can chat more about some dreams.
Absolutely. It's nice to meet another Henderson writer.
Yeah.
So yes, we will definitely keep in contact. I hope to be able to see you at the book festival coming up later this month. I've got to verify that date.
Sounds great.
All right.
Oh,
well, congratulations on the new release, by the way. Happy release day to you.
Thank you very much. It's always exciting, isn't it, when it comes out for real?
Yeah, a little exciting, a little nerve-wracking. All in one. Have a glass of wine to celebrate.
Oh, okay. I think I shall.
I'm gonna have a beer to celebrate with you girls. Oh, and before we sign off, too, if anybody's watching out there and you're interested in reading my paranormal suspense thriller, Whispers in the Shadows, I actually had an Amazon giveaway going, and not all of them got given away. So I've got 5 copies of this ebook to give away. So if you're watching and you'd like to read this book, shoot me a message, comment on here, and I'll email it over to you. No charge at all.
Ooh, freebies. I like it.
Very generous.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Spilling Ink. Remember to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you can always be ready to watch the next episode. We're on every Saturday night at 5 p.m. and every third Friday of the month, we do Drinks with Authors. So we will see you next week with more authors and professionals to introduce you to. Thanks for watching, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.